What is play therapy? Play therapy. Play therapy is a way of helping troubled children cope with their distress, using play as a medium of communication between child and therapy. This therapeutic method is based on the central assumption that the act of play can be used as a therapeutic measure to relieve distress, anxiety, anger and frustration from the children. Play is the place where children first realize the separateness of me and not me, and start to develop a working relationship with the world beyond the self. Play therapy can be attributed to playing in the presence of someone. The British Play Therapy Association, BAPT, has currently defined play therapy as the dynamic process between child and play therapist in which the child explores at his or her own pace, and with his or her own agenda those issues, past and current, conscious and unconscious, that are affecting the child's life in the present. The child's inner resources are enabled by the therapeutic alliance to bring about growth and change. Play therapy is child-centered, in which play is the primary medium and speech is the secondary medium. A play therapist works using a wide range of play and creative arts techniques, mostly responding to the child's wishes. This distinguishes the play therapist from more specialized therapists, art, music, drama, etc. The greater depth of skills and experience distinguishes the play therapist from those using therapeutic play skills. Origin and development of play therapy. Play therapy has emerged from elements of child psychotherapy with the specific theoretical foundations emerging from the humanistic psychology tradition and attachment theory. In the 1940s, renowned psychologist and proponent of humanistic approach psychology, Carl Rogers coined a new model of psychotherapy named as client-centered therapy. This new tradition was established as a protest against the diagnostic, prescriptive perspective approach of that time. Emphasis was placed upon a relationship between therapist and client based upon genuineness, acceptance and trust. As such, the person-centered approach posited an original theoretical perspective of personality structure, psychological health, acquisition of psychological difficulty and the change process within therapy. The author of the famous book Loneliness and Love, Clark Mustakers, had also played a significant role in the development of play therapy. He was particularly concerned with the sort of relationship needed to make therapy a flourishing experience. Famous psychologist Virginia Axline had developed a new therapeutic approach for working with children, non-directive play therapy. This approach was primarily influenced by the client-centered approach. Later Axline devised a clear and succinct play therapy theory and method based on the theoretical foundations of the client-centered therapy. Her autobiography-styled book Dibs, In Search of Self casts her own account of how she worked with a young boy named DB and how he healed himself over some time. In the USA, play therapy has been practiced and researched for over 50 years. Many play therapists have led this, including Clark Mustakers, Dr. Charles E. Schieffer and others who have progressed Axline's original formulations and devised different models by integrating elements of systemic family therapy, narrative therapy, solution-focused therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. However, in the UK, play therapy started to emerge as a new and unique tradition in the 1980s. Initially, the Children's Hour Trust taught professionals the basic techniques of Axline's play therapy used in a multitude of settings. In 1990, the Institute of Drama Therapy started to offer a certificate and diploma in play therapy. The British Association of Play Therapists, BAPT, was started by a group of professionals studying at the Institute of Drama Therapy in 1992. Since then, BAPT, the abbreviation of British Play Therapy, has developed the movement and now accredits several training courses in the UK. Play and play therapy. Play plays a central role in play therapy. It can be denoted as a physical or mental leisure activity that is undertaken purely for enjoyment or amusement and has no other objective. There are other spectrums of human activity that can also be defined in this way. However, for a purpose, play is a tool to assist in learning and self-development. Play can be undertaken by individuals or groups of children spontaneously or as part of a planned activity. The use of play in therapy was first explained by the pioneers of child psychotherapy such as Anna Freud, Margaret Lowenfeld and Melanie Klein asserted that the theoretical premise for the use of play. The critical process of play in play therapy is the use of imaginative plays that take place within a relationship between the child and therapist. The child who comes for play therapy will be actively playing and replaying complex issues through play and try to demonstrate them into manageable forms. The play works as a bridge connecting both imaginative and the real world. When the child shares the play with the therapist who is unbiased and non-judgmental, then the distressing elements such as anger, sadness, or humiliation of the child can be demonstrated and relieved through the play within the relationship. For example, in a play of cars, a well-looked-after child would start playing with model cars in a patterned way and drive themselves without any human intervention. This may suggest that they are in full control of this imaginative world made of cars but not people. Nevertheless, it can also suggest that they are in a safe habitat in an ever-changing world. However, this play might also be repeated by an autistic child who wants to demonstrate some sort of control over a chaotic surrounding. But the autistic child may not be able to move beyond this patterned play. The child in the play therapy chooses to play in their own terms with the objects provided by the therapist. In this imaginative world of play, the child determines what the rules are, and the play would occur. The therapist can only be an observer or be part of the play if the child deems it necessary. There are 3 kinds of imaginative play. These are role play. Role play is an act of pretending to be someone else. This sort of play takes place when children play among themselves or with a therapist in a familiar situation and pretend to be someone else. For example, in an imaginative family scenario, a female child may want to play as the mother of the family and want the therapist to be the father and dolls, or and other human-like figures as their children. However, the children not only role-play about the non-fictitious materials of their lives, but also extract roles from comic books, cartoon characters and famous celebrity figures. This sort of play uses the capability of the child to share a pretended framework with other person and to perform coordinated actions. Embodiment play. Embodiment play can be denoted as a sensory exploration of the environment through various materials by a child. The child explores the world using play materials such as paint and clay. It helps to define a child where its body ends and the rest of the world begins. Through this way, a child can explore the world. For example, through embodiment play, a child explores the world. It uses its sensory attributes to feel the world around it. The feelings of their surroundings also encourage them to use different tools to mold or alter their surroundings through materials like paint and clay. Projective play. Projective play is a kind of symbolization. It is about externalizing ideas, meaning projection of own internal characteristics onto the materials of the outside world. Projective play happens when the child discovers a whole new world consists of materials which are outside of themselves through various kinds of toys, dolls and other objects of play. The child would often use one object to represent another. For example, in a projective play, a car becomes a gun, or a doll becomes a hammer to a child. Projective plays can also be story making. Story making is an integral part of the human psyche. We love to make and share stories with others. In a projective play, a story making which is narratable with toys or other objects can become a dramatic presentation of certain events, feelings, or emotions. Child-therapist relationship. The play therapist and the child should share a collaborative relationship. It is imperative to the benefit of the child that the therapist join the journey with the child in exploring the issues related to the therapy. After the initial meeting, the therapist can explain to the child and the guardian or carer about how the therapy sessions are organized. It is important that the child is acutely aware of how and whys of the intervention. The therapist should be able to communicate with the child with genuineness, authenticity, positivity, warmth and respect. He or she should also be creative in play and create an atmosphere which enables the child to feel safe and respected. Basic knowledge for being a play therapist. There is a fundamental knowledge base which a play therapist should possess. That knowledge base consists of environmental awareness. As like many practitioners, a play therapist works in a social environment where issues of power, race, gender and disability may impact the work. A play therapist may have to deal with many socio-cultural issues in a way which would mitigate the issue, rather than it being fostered. Knowledge of child and parenting. A play therapist should possess a working knowledge of child and adolescent studies. Exploration of other fields such as sociology, philosophy, and psychology is also needed. A play therapist should also have the experience or exploration of the subject of parenting, the effect of child abuse, and effect of traumatic events on children and adolescents through academic studies, and should also have a sound knowledge of childhood illnesses, difficulties and disabilities. Ethical and legal issues. There are ethical and legal issues relating to children, families and the practice of play therapy. A play therapist should have sound knowledge in that field. Play therapist is a profession in the UK. Play therapists play an essential role in the therapeutic treatment sphere of UK. As a career, it has bright prospects. It also provides significant opportunities for people who are comfortable working with children. In the UK, the estimated latent demand for child mental health therapists is 23,370. There are an estimated 5,000 existing practitioners, leaving a gap of 18,370 jobs to be filled. The government has promised an additional £1.7 billion for child mental health, which will help to fill this gap. How to become a play therapist? One can get into this career by a degree in a relevant subject for postgraduate study. Through completion of a postgraduate qualification approved by the British Association of Play Therapists, BAPT, or Play Therapy UK. An individual aspiring to be a play therapist also needs 2 years of paid or volunteer experience in working with children and families in a development role. Registering with the British Association of Play Therapists or Play Therapy UK. To pass an enhanced background check, as the aspiring candidate may be working with children and vulnerable adults. This course is a great place to start if you are new to this field or aspiring to join. It will provide you with all the basic knowledge of play therapy. Ethical principles. The British Association of Play Therapists coded a guideline for ethical and legal issues for the play therapists in the UK. The ethical principles are: responsibility. These principles are aspirational, but are considered good, ethical practice for a play therapist. Play therapists need to be motivated, concerned and directed towards good ethical practice. They are required to take responsibility to maintain these standards, and play therapists should always accept responsibility for their professional behavior and actions. They are concerned about the ethical compliance of their practice and their colleagues' professional conduct. Play therapists attempt to resolve those conflicts responsibly when ethical conflicts occur. They are also aware of their professional responsibilities towards their clients, society, and to the communities in which they work. Beneficence. Play therapists try to benefit those with whom they work, acting in their best interests and always working within the limits of competence, training, experience, and supervision. This principle involves an obligation to use regular and ongoing supervision to enhance the quality of service provision and to commit to enhancing practice by continuing professional development. An obligation of the play therapist is to act in the best interests of clients, and this is the paramount consideration for play therapists since clients are generally non-autonomous and dependent on significant others. Play therapists should ensure that clients' best interests are met requires monitoring of practice and outcomes, and accordingly, British Association of Play Therapists, BAPT, has set down standards for supervision which all members of BAPT should follow. Non-maleficence. Play therapists are committed to not harming those with whom they work, because their professional judgments and actions may affect the lives of others. Play therapists are aware, concerned, and committed to guarding against personal, financial, social, organizational, emotional, sexual, or political factors that may lead to a misuse of their influence or exploitation of those with whom they work. It may involve not providing services when unfit to do so due to personal impairment, including illness, personal circumstances, or intoxication. Play therapists have a responsibility to challenge the incompetence or malpractice of others and to contribute to investigations or adjudications concerning the professional practice and/or actions of others. Fidelity. Play therapists establish relationships of trust with those with whom they work. They honor and act in accordance with the trust placed in them. This principle obliges play therapists to maintain confidentiality and restrict disclosures of confidential information to a standard appropriate to their workplace and legal requirements. Justice. Play therapists recognize that fairness and justice is an entitlement for all persons. The clause above obliges play therapists to ensure that all people have fair and equal access to and benefit from the contributions of play therapy, and to equal quality in the services being conducted and offered by play therapists. Play therapists exercise judgment and care to ensure that their potential biases, levels of competence, and limitations of their training and experience do not directly or indirectly lead to unjust practices. Respect for people's rights and dignity. Play therapists respect the dignity and worth of all people and the rights to privacy, confidentiality, and autonomy. Play therapists who respect the autonomy of those with whom they work ensure the accuracy of advertising and delineation of service information. Play therapists seek freely the informed consent of those legally responsible for clients and, where possible, assent from clients, engage in clear and explicit contracts, including confidentiality requirements, and inform those involved of any foreseeable conflicts of interest. Play therapists are aware that special safeguards may be necessary to protect the rights and welfare of clients who are non-autonomous and dependent on significant others. Respect for people's needs and relationships. Play therapists respect the needs of individuals, including emotional, psychological, social, financial, educational, health, and familial needs. They also respect people's needs and relationships, are aware that clients may be dependent upon significant others and that autonomous decision-making may not be possible. Play therapists respect the client's relationships and ensure that, where possible, Those insignificant relationships to the client are included in the decision-making processes. Self-respect. Play therapists apply all of these principles to themselves. This involves respect for the owner's knowledge, needs, and development. They should also access opportunities for personal and professional development. Play therapists also have a responsibility to use supervision for the development and to seek training for continuing professional development. They are appropriately safeguarded by insurance, is also a requirement for this principle.